Welcome you all back to Pushing Technology to the Limit. Today I have to make a little bit of a correction video on my second Pi-hole video. So what did I do? I set up the Pi-hole on a business class router. It's a small business class router, not an enterprise. But I did run into a few problems with my home router, and I thought I should let you folks know about what's going on. Now, depending on the age of your router and the price of your router when it's brand new is going to depend on whether it's going to work properly or you're going to have to fiddle with it. I have found with my router, I just bought one. It's a D-Link router, and it was old software on it. Now, they call it firmware. So, before you get started, and maybe you can try before you actually upgrade it, but I would recommend upgrading any firmware, which is the software, on your router before attempting this. Now, I would definitely try this before upgrading the software. And today I'm going to show you how I've got my home router set up and the do's and don'ts of what you should do with your Pi-hole to get everything working properly. Let me go down to my control room and show you what I've got going on down there. I am now down in my control room. I'm going to show you all the equipment and how I've got it set up and my recommendations how to get Pi-hole running. Let me show you that now. I have upgraded my Pi-hole DNS server to a tower. Now I've got two down here, and the left one is the one that's running. The right one is the one I was testing, just to see what other things it could do besides how they say to set it up. So let me show you one thing that this thing does not need to have, and it does work, but I don't know why it needs to be there. On this computer, I installed a dual network card, and then it has the built-in network card that came originally with the computer. Well, these do work, but only one needs to be for the Pi-hole. So here on this small little business computer, I have a white cable going to my network. Let me show you what I've got going on there. So here's all my equipment. You can see the Pi-hole monitor running in the background. There's the modem, router, that's the D-Link router that I've been talking to you about, and the other equipment that I've got running. It's a super setup here, but I'm actually using the small home router just for some test things. And it was a good thing I did, because I found out that there are things with this D-Link that you need to do, like upgrading the software, which is the firmware, for one. Because originally with the old software that I had on there that came with the equipment, it wasn't functioning properly. So when I upgraded it, it worked better. Let me show you how I recommend you to have your network set up. There's two ways that you can do this, and I'm going to show you both ways. You got two ways of setting up your Pi-hole. Now, the way I have it set up is with this unmanaged switch. Now, you can either have this is the Pi-hole cable right here, this white cable. Now you can either have the Pi-hole cable plugged directly into your LAN on your router over here, which is doable, but you can also have it plugged into your WAN port. So this red cable here comes out and goes into the WAN side. Now this blue cable here goes off to my computer system over here, where I'm going to eventually set it up for you. So what you need to do is you can like I said, have it here, or you can plug it directly into this router. Now, if you have your Pi-hole already configured for your modem, you're going to have to reconfigure it for your network. But that's a pain in the neck, because then you got to set every computer and other devices DNS server to go to the Pi-hole. Now why do that? Now mine, like I said, I've got mine all set up for my modem, and I just plugged it into here. And then, as you'll see on the screen, it's going to work perfectly fine for all the devices. Then you don't have to worry about configuring the DNS server for your computers and other portable devices on your network. So the first thing I recommend doing when you got your Pi-hole running, and if you watched that second video on getting it all going, I recommend now that if you are a home user, and it doesn't matter what kind of user you are, but I just wanted to do this video for home use application. The other one I did was business, but I didn't think about that at first when I did it, or I would have done something different to help both of you out. So anyways, the first thing I would do is I would plug your Pi-hole directly into your modem, or basically I would actually I wouldn't want to disconnect my network. Do not, and I say this again and again in other videos, do not dismantle a running network. That's how you can cause problems for yourself, is if it's all running and you start messing with something that's existing that's running. Well, first off, you need to set up some test equipment. And by doing that is getting yourself an unmanaged switch like I have. And all it has to be is maybe it's like a $20 or $30 switch. I don't know what they cost, but I know that the managed switches, which is, they either call it managed or smart switches, are going to be about $80 to $100 depending on how many ports you want on that switch and what brand you go with. I always recommend Netgear because I've always had success with them. So what I would do is I would plug your Pi-hole directly into your modem and then go from there. Get your Pi-hole set up, then move over to your network. Now I'm going to go up to my computer and show you how to get everything going once you got your router and all that connected to your network or your computer. And if you got more than one router at home, I would recommend just having a separate router just to troubleshoot and make sure that everything is going to work right. And the other thing is, if you don't worry. Write all your settings down so you know how to get back to it. Take snapshots of your screen with your smartphone or a regular camera. Doesn't matter what you need to do. Just take a documentation of how your router looks so that you know how to get back if you make a change. So let me get up there now and show you what I'm doing in the computer. Okay, so here are our tabs. This is my Netgear modem, here is the Pi-hole, and here is my D-Link router. So what I'm going to do is kind of get these things in order here. Let's see here. So first off, if you've got your Pi-hole all set up and you're ready to put it into your WAN connection like I showed you. So what you need to do now is, depending on what modem you have, whether it's cable, fiber optics, or DSL. My modem router, I need to click Advanced, go to Setup, go to LAN Setup. Now here, I can change IP addresses, I can turn on and off the DHCP server. I've got this already off, but when you get into your modem, and if it's the modem router and if the DHCP server is on, you need to shut it off. And I can't show you really in this one, but over here in your Pi-hole, I've already logged in. So this is just going to be quick and easy. What you need to do is, once you've logged in, go down to Settings and then go to DHCP, enable it. I've got mine enabled for my modem, and leave this gateway what your cable modem, fiber optic modem, or your DSL modem router is at. And I can't help you if you're using just a straight modem and there's no way to configure it. You're going to have to use a modem router combination like I have. So you just set this up so that it's out of the range of your router. So like for me, my router that I have connected to this is the D-Link and the other routers that are in my network. So I set my range from .3 to .253 because the cable modem over here is set at 254. So always put your ending address, whatever it may be, whether if you got a .1 modem router or .3 or 0.2, whatever your IP address is of your modem router, you need to set your pi hole to be one less or one higher than what your modem is set at. So once you got that, once you got your DNS server over here, or not your DNS server, but your DHCP server shut off over here, you've got this one enabled, then you come over to your router, and then I'm just going to log into it. And then, like I said before in other times past, that I can't help you with yours, but this is the spot here where I had problems. I needed to upgrade my firmware. This was not over here, the IPv6. I was like, my firmware version was like 3.0 something. I'm not sure what it was, but I went to the website and then upgraded it. So now this router is running. So what I did is I clicked on manual connection, and I went down to, here's my internet connection, which is dynamic, which is what's running off the Pi-hole. Now is this is still going to be getting an IP address from this Pi-hole, but it will it'll go right to your modem. So this is the DNS server. How I've got mine set up is right here. Now this router had 0.0.0.0. You got to take that out. And I left, if you've been using DSL, I'm not sure, you'd have to play with it, but I had mine set at 1492, which was DSL, but I had to turn it back to 1500, which is the default, and it seems to be working fine. So now if I go over to status, now you can see my connection is DHCP client. I've been up for 2 days, and here's the IP address of my modem and the router. So basically this is my modem router device, which is .254, and then this same address except for .2 is my Pi-hole. Now if I come over to a website, so since everything is running, I can close out these tabs and come over to a website. Now I'm going to go back to my dashboard so I can show you what happens. Now these numbers are going to go up, and so I'm just going to type in, let's see here, like videos, and see what happens. So it went up. It was a little bit fast because it's faster now since it's on the Pi-hole. But if I log on a website, well, let's try NBC News. So now I'm going to come back here and see that I've had now 42. Now I'm going to click on this NBC News and come back over here. Now watch these numbers. It's exactly like what was going on before. And when I set up my video for the first time, on my small business router. So basically, this is how you would set it up so that it functions properly. And it's working like it should. But I was just doing this video for home users that may be having some difficulties with getting this Pi-hole to work, because I don't know, some things work, some things don't. If it's a low-end router, you might need to upgrade your router to a higher-end router, maybe even a business class router. I mean, yeah, they're a little bit pricey, but if you have like 5 devices on your network, you're going to have to have a bigger router. I mean, 5 is too much for a home router. But I do recommend that if you are just one that has a few devices, maybe the kids get on it, that's fine. What if you want to block like public DNSs? So like down here, I've got a website, and then it lists all the public DNS that are out there. So anybody could circumvent your Pi-hole over here by going one of these websites and putting the DNS server. Like if I open up my network card and I show you that my router is all set up with .254. Now if I change this primary, or well, I call it primary, but it's preferred DNS, but primary DNS server is my router. Now if I change that to .8.8.8.8, it will not, Pi-hole won't even recognize it at all. And it will, if you block websites and stuff like that from your kids. Mainly this video, like I said, is for your home use, and maybe there's a parent that's wanting to set it up so that their kids can't view some sites. Now, website blocking is basically what I showed you in the second video. So basically what I've got to do is come back over here, and you can either do it either or. You got to go over to, let's see here. I'm not too savvy with this router just yet, but let's just see here. Let's go over to advanced. Didn't find what I want. Alright. So here's your quality service, firewall settings. Now, this is where you can actually block certain things. And I'm actually able to do a better job with blocking things in my modem router that I've got. And I'm not quite sure how to do it in this router, but your router, like I said, everybody's router is going to be different than what I've got. So it's going to be a little bit more hard to show you, but you got to go in your firewall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to block it from the modem side. Okay, so I have to go into security, and then I've got to go to block services. Now, and this is my Netgear router modem, and I've already got it set up for this particular unit, which is 93. Now this is going to cause a problem if your router itself changes IP address. So what you need to do is set a static IP address over here. So instead of being dynamic, you come back over to your configuration, and then you change this setting so that it's a static IP address. Now you're going to have to set it all back up, and for the most part it is set. So I'd have to set 93 over here, but I'm not going to do that. And my DNS server is all running, or actually blocking this piece of equipment right here. So if I try to use a public DNS server like Google or what have you, it's not going to work. So let's try that. And since I've got it all blocked on my equipment, I'm going to remove my DNS server and put 8.8.8.8, and then we'll see what happens. Now it's going to just keep spinning because over in the Netgear is blocking any outside DNS services like Google or OpenDNS, so nobody can get past your router because you've blocking the port 53. Now some, let me log back into this thing. All right, so it's still logged in. All right. So some of these router modems like I have, now not every single one is going to be the same, but when I come over here to block services, I can actually go and add one, and then I can tell it, you know, TCP UDP or TCP UDP, or I can say user defined, which would be the DNS, and then I can tell it, you know, whatever I want, whether the whole, you know, all addresses, range of IP addresses, or one IP address only. So once you do that, it's all set up so that you won't have to worry about somebody trying to circumvent your blocking. And see, here I can't get anywheres with this website because it's blocked, and it just keeps spinning like it's going to find it, and nothing. Even if I do another search for videos, well, that will maybe come up, but I can't get on anything because I've got my history still there. Now that's one thing I've told you about in the other video, is that you need to clean out your history over here, because I've got history from who knows how long that I've been testing this thing. So if I go over to history, I can show you how much stuff I've been doing from today or the other days. Of course, I haven't done too much the other day, so it's just today basically, but that all needs to go. Anyhow, see, you can't, it won't log in. Now if I refreshed it, it won't do anything. So basically that's what I'm showing you, is how to keep your kids, or if you're an employer, you want to keep your employees from using a different DNS server. You can block them right at the router level or modem router level. Alright, so here I put my DNS server back to my router, and then when I click this, it will log in with no problem, and it'll log on that website. And here I can play a video, do different things. So basically that is how you set up your Pi-hole to work with your modem router to your existing router, if you have one. Now if you don't have another router, go buy another router. So basically that is how you get everything to function on your home network device. Now if you want to block websites, I'm going to show you how to do that briefly in this section. Now if you watched the second video on how to get it all going, I've showed you in there too, but I also want to show you again so you don't have to watch that whole thing all over again. Now if you are still one that's just on the fence of maybe you don't have it installed, maybe you don't know what the heck is going on, but maybe you are watching this video just for curiosity's sake, I would suggest to watch the second video, which was Pi-hole and getting it all running, or one of those titles. It's just, you know, it's just right after, you know, right below this video here that you're watching, so it's not that far. And I just recommend, if you haven't seen it, to watch it. And a little bit will be repetitious because you're watching this one. So I'm just doing this so if a home user is already set up and they're like, okay, well, my router doesn't really work, then this is what I'm trying to help you folks with, is getting your home equipment to work with Pi-hole. So I'm going to show you how to block websites really quickly so that you can just get going if you have it installed. If you don't, just watch the other one and get it installed. Then you can see that all the steps from that very video to what this video is doing here. Here's the percent block. Now you can boost the percentage that is blocked by going to the query log and then doing that here, or you can add something in like like YouTube. Now if you add this in, I'm going to tell you, if you add YouTube, you can add it to exact. You can do a www.youtube.com or youtube.com, facebook.com, and then you can do like add the wildcard, add the regex. I don't understand what that means, but if you block it, you won't be able to get into YouTube. So let's just try it for an example. So let's try different websites. Now we've got that blocked, and we'll see what happens when somebody tries to log into or even just watch a video on YouTube. Now let's go back over to my browser here, and let's see if we pull up a Pi-hole video. So here are some YouTube videos. Let's see what happens. Well, I guess we need to do some more blocking. I'm not sure what I did on here, but you kind of get the gist of the thing. Okay, so I found out what was going on here. I did something wrong, and so I had YouTube type in wrong here a little bit. So what I did is I re-edited everything. So I got two entries. I've got www.youtube.com, and I've got YouTube itself. So when you go to a website like YouTube, you can't get it. So if I click on this video to where I was clicking on it before, it will not show up. It says unable to connect. Same way with Facebook. If I try connecting to that, it will not work. And so it's really a good child blocker. So I've got two more, well, one more actually, domain name in here. So I've got facebook.com and I've got www.facebook.com. Now what happens if we try to search that out? And so like if you're, maybe it's employees, maybe you're not even trying to stop your kids from doing it, but maybe co-workers or employees are hogging up bandwidth by checking their personal Facebook when they're supposed to be working. So if I type Facebook in here, whoops. So if I type that in here, so I got Facebook. Now let's see what happens when we try to sign in or log in. Unable to connect. Every time. And that's because this Pi-hole over here is stopping it from doing it. Now if I set my DNS server on my other computer, or this computer here on my other router, so if I go back to the original router, I can, so if I go to .1, you'll see that I can get into it. So then I can just click it, and there it is. So the .4, which is the DNS from my Pi-hole, is actually doing its job by blocking it. Now you may have to, like I said, flush out your history to be able to make this work. Now let's go back over here and see what happens and try it again. See, it only does it. You got to have your cookies flushed. I don't know why.
you just gotta get rid of them to have the new settings take effect. So if I just close that out and reopen it and try her again. Now let's see what happens. Yep, it's blocked. So you can keep your kids and your employees away from Facebook, anything that you don't want them to see. Now, the way this thing seems to be set up is that it's not just blocking ads, but you can actually block access to websites that you don't want your family or coworkers or employees to see. So that's basically how Pi-hole works for anybody.
That is how you get your Pi-hole to work with your home router. Now at this point, if your home router is still not functioning the way you think it should with your Pi-hole, then I would check into getting another router. The other thing that I didn't mention in the video that I've mentioned in past videos is if you have an older router that's 100 megabits and you've got super fast speed internet like cable or fiber optics, you're going to want to have a gigabit router, because anything that's over 100 megabits, these, like my D-Link, because I have 100 megabit cable internet, not DSL, but cable internet, and it only goes up to about 90 megabits down and 10 up, which it's getting the full 10 up because it's not any faster than 100. So that's what I would do, and it will work on an older router like 100 megabits, but you're not going to get your full cable speed or your fiber optic speed. If you have DSL still, it doesn't matter, because DSL only goes up to, I don't know what, but I only had 7. I know I've heard some other people say that they've had 20 megabits down and whatever up for DSL, but that's pretty stinking slow. So I would just try it and see what happens. I mean, it's not going to cost you any money just to try it, but if you do have to go with another router, and say like if you have more devices than 4, I had a friend that had like about 12 devices on his home router, and I said, dude, you're going to burn it up. And he already burned it up because he had too much running on it. For some reason, home routers are only able to have 4 devices on it, whether that's wireless or wired. You can either have, 2 wired or 2 wireless. That's about it. It's pretty pathetic. But if you need to go up higher, I would use Zero Shell. It's, if you understand about programming, installing operating systems like Windows 7, Windows XP, Windows Vista, so on and so forth, you would be able to install the Zero Shell with no problem. But that's another whole video, because you need to do some other things to make Pi-hole work with Zero Shell compared to just doing it this way with just one router. So I hope you were able to get your router up and running with Pi-hole, and you got everything so it's blocked that you want blocked. I'll see you the next time on Pushing Technology Limit. Have a great day and enjoy Pi-hole.